So the body's in the British Museum,
Yes.
and it's being investigated with the full resources of the department.
Yes, I mean, it was, at that stage, the resource was fairly low tech. I mean, it was all done with our hands. We weren't using metallic equipment because
I believe you have to use special tools. Is that you couldn't use metal tools?
No, we didn't use any metallic tools. We had bone and wooden spatulas, but most of it was done by hand, actually, removing the peat by hand and then washing it away, and then rooting around inside. I had a veterinary obstetric glove which I put on, which went right up to my shoulder, so I could root around inside the body and find bits and pieces of this, that, and the other. I'll bring you an obstetric glove and put it on display. But no, it took a long time. The museum was very concerned about keeping the temperature constant, keeping the humidity constant, not keeping it out of its chill cabinet for too long, hoping it didn't get contaminated with modern organisms, which of course it did. And so it was actually a very long study.
And what did that very detailed forensic examination show you?
Well, of course, the exciting feature was the thong around his neck.
I believe that's been interpreted in a number of different ways, hasn't it?
Yes. There was a certain enthusiasm amongst the archaeological community that this, like so many of the bodies, should be a ritual sacrifice. And so when the thong around his neck appeared, it was immediately declared that it must be a garrotte. It's actually too thin for a garrotte. You couldn't garrotte anybody with that if you wanted to. Wanted to strangle somebody, use something much more powerful than that. It's beautifully made. The ends of this twisted sinew have been tied off in an overhand hitch, and there's a neat slip knot in it. It's a necklace.
I believe you found some other evidence as well about the way in which Lindow Man might have died.
Yes. On the top of his head, there's a large flat wound, and the back of the head is very badly crushed. And it looked fairly clearly that he'd been hit on the head with a blunt instrument from the front, staggered, and then hit from the back as he staggered. The X-ray pictures confirm this, that there's a big flat wound in the top of the head with, I think, 3 fragments of bone in the cranial cavity. The back of the head, the bone of the skull is badly broken, but one of the vertebrae in the neck is crushed so badly that it would have completely constricted the nerve cord going between the brain and the rest of the body, which passes down the middle of the vertebral column. And that was completely crushed, and that would have produced instant death. So even if the blow on the front of the head hadn't killed him, just stunned him, when the back of the neck was crushed by this blow, that would certainly have finished him off.
What about the neck at the front?
Well, there is a slit in the neck. I think it's a modern artefact.
When you say it's a modern artefact, could you just explain what you mean by that?
I think this happened in the course of the cleaning of the body.
So it's not a wound that was used, that was inflicted on Lindow Man to kill him.
It has been suggested that it was that his throat was cut, but it's only a centimetre and a bit in length. If you're going to cut somebody's throat as a ritual, you go whee like that, like some of the Danish specimens. Connolly is slit from ear to ear. I mean, similarly, if you're going to garrotte somebody, use a rope like we use in the girl from Ida in Holland. But that fracture of the vertebra couldn't have been done by that garrotte. It just wouldn't have happened. It's just beyond. And as I say, this slit in the neck. If you're going to cut somebody's throat, you go like that. You just say, look, hang on, old chap, just move your head a bit, just hold there. I'm going to stick a knife in. Do that. No, that's a modern slit, I'm afraid.
So one of the interpretations that's got into the literature about Lindow Man having suffered what's been called a triple death, you're actually not convinced by
I'm
that.
not convinced, no.
You think he was killed not by 3 wounds, but by a blow to the head, and
That's
indeed
right.
by a blow to the side of the neck.
That's right. Yes, that's right. Yes. There is a broken rib actually, which you can see in the X-ray, and that somehow got in the book that he'd been hit in the side. But I did that actually. They wanted another fragment of bone from deeper in the body, the carbon 14 date had been done with fragment of bone from the leg, and they wanted another piece from deep inside. And so Dr. Stead asked me if I could get my arm up and try and break a piece of bone off. And I could break the rib because it was very, very fragile, but I couldn't get it out because the soft tissue around us, it's like leather. And so we couldn't get this bit of bone out. And so we just left it there. And when it was x-rayed, the people that wrote up the x-ray didn't know that I'd done that. So, but that's why that's broken.